So before,
Yeah, Monica, go ahead.
no, sir. It's recording, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah, no problem. You can go ahead. You can feel free to speak whatever you want to. That's fine. The reason why I'm recording the session is that... okay. Okay, we have one more person who joined. Yeah. Hi, Padmarao. Good morning.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Krishna Padmarao. I was just introducing, or I was just interacting with the other two classmates, Dinesh and Monica. So we'll start the class now.
Yes, sir.
To introduce myself, guys, my name is Krishna. I'm going to teach logical reasoning and data interpretation for all of you.
Yes.
As I just explained to Dinesh and Monica, I would try to explain everything in English in simpler words. In case you're not able to follow, please do stop me and I'll switch to Telugu. So Padmanav, since you joined slightly late, for your benefit, నాకు తెలుగు కూడా వచ్చు, నేను తెలుగు కూడా మాట్లాడగలను. In case మీకు ఎక్కడైనా ఇబ్బంది ఉన్నా, ఏమైనా కాన్సెప్ట్ అర్థం కాకపోయినా, you can stop me and ask me to explain in Telugu. Okay?
Sure.
So I'll try to pace it out slowly and use words which are easy to understand so that there is absolutely no problem for any of you involved. So as a background, I have given my CAT exam in 2009. I got about 99 plus percentile across English, across verbal, quant, and DI. I'm quite well versed with the pattern of questions. What is generally the questions that are asked in CAT, and what do they test? So ilantivani we can discuss quite comfortably over the course of this sessions which we'll have. And I have also represented India in World Sudoku Championship. So I'm not too sure if any of you are aware of Sudoku or Kakuro. మీరు ఎవరికన్నా సుడోకు ఐడియా ఉందా? Yeah, so I represented India in 2011 and I traveled to Europe to participate in a competition. So the reason why I'm saying you all this is it is important to always keep your brain sharp and busy by solving a lot of puzzles and a lot of lateral thinking related questions. It's not just for the exam purpose. Generally speaking, it will help you in your long run in terms of how you channelize your thoughts, how you approach a problem logically and out of the box. మనం వింటుంటాం కదా అవుట్ ఆఫ్ ది బాక్స్ థింకింగ్ అంటే ఏంటి అంటే, సో అవుట్ ఆఫ్ ది బాక్స్ అంటే సంథింగ్ దట్ నాట్ ఎ నార్మల్ పర్సన్ కుడ్ థింక్. సో సంథింగ్ దట్ యూ హ్యావ్ innate ability to think differently and arrive at a solution. So this is called lateral thinking. Now what I'll do is I'll just share my screen and we'll quickly go over a few concepts of logical reasoning and data interpretation. I've not specifically thought about a specific flow, but we'll keep it open and I'll just discuss various aspects related to logical reasoning and data interpretation, and please feel free to ask me any question. See, before there are two things for logical reasoning. One, the skills that are needed, and two, the topics. So when I say skills, what is that you need to have, or what is that you need to possess in order to solve logical reasoning and data interpretation related questions? That is skills. Topics are the specific concepts or subjects where you would be tested on. So these are the broad two categories I would divide to somebody who is getting into logical reasoning or data interpretation section. So what are the skills that are needed? I would say the first and important skill that you need is calculations. When I say calculations, it is not that you need to understand how to calculate some mathematical equations that are given to you or something like that. When I say calculations, it is about being smart with the calculations. I will come back to you with that. What do I mean by smart with a small example? Okay. The second one is the concept. Concept is very, very important. So what is a concept? Concept is nothing but the science behind a specific, what do you call, a subject matter. I'll give you a small example on what is a concept. Let's say if I have a number 1 by 2, and then I add 1 to the numerator and 1 to the denominator. What do I get? 2 by 3, correct? Now we know 2 by 3 is greater than 1 by 2. Now can any of you tell me why is that 2 by 3 is greater than 1 by 2 without actually calculating the ratio? So 2 by 3 is 0.66, 1 by 2 is 0.5. So when we calculate, it is easy to say, okay, 0.66 is greater than 0.5. But without calculating, can somebody tell me why is 2 by 3 greater than 1 by 2? Anybody? Monica, Dinesh, Padmarao? Just make an attempt. What could be the reason? Any thoughts?
No, sir.
Okay. Very it's simple logic. See, when I have 1 by 2, then ఎంత పెట్టి increase చేస్తున్నా numerator denominator ni 1, correct?
1. Yes, sir.
In terms of percentage, if you see, the numerator is increasing by how much percentage? 1 ki ne 1 add చేస్తున్నా అంటే numerator has gone up by how much? 100%, can I say?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Correct? What about the denominator? Denominator has gone up by how much percentage?
50.
2 ki ne 1 add చేస్తున్నా 50%.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So overall numerator has gone up by 100%, but denominator has gone up by 50%. So the resultant fraction will be greater than the original fraction or smaller than the original fraction?
Yes, sir. Greater than the original.
Naturally, it has to be greater because your numerator has increased more than your denominator. That's the reason why your resultant fraction 2 by 3 is greater than 1 by 2. This is called concept. Okay. What you try to solve here through percentages, and you try to reason why 2 by 3 is greater than 1 by 2 is nothing but your LR. This is logical reasoning. When you know the concept, any kind of question you will be able to solve. So it doesn't matter what topic it is, any topic, if you're able to address a question logically and understand the concept or the science behind it, it makes it a lot easier. So the same thing applies for a different fraction. So let's say, for example, you have 4 by 3, right? You add 1 to the numerator, you add 1 to the denominator. What is the resultant fraction? 5 by 4, correct? In this case, if you see, 4 by 3 is 1.33, 5 by 4 is 1.25. The resultant fraction is actually smaller than the original fraction. Now, can somebody explain me why is this so? Anybody wants to try? Use the same concept which we just discussed.
Yes, sir. Here numerator is smaller than denominator.
Okay. So if I'm saying
Kind of percentage.
numerator has gone up by how much percentage?
Yes, sir.
You're adding 1 to 4, which means 1 by 4 into 100, which is 25%. Okay.
Yes.
Denominator has gone up by how much? 1 by 3, right?
Yes.
How much would that be? 33.33%. So since the denominator has increased more than the numerator, the resultant fraction, which is 5 by 4, is less than 4 by 3. Okay. Did all of you follow?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in CAT, they will never ask you a formula. they will never ask you a simple plain question saying that, okay, there is, let's say there is a table, some random table, okay. They would have given you parameter 1 and parameter 2, and there are two friends A, B, and let's say there are three friends A, B, C. They'll give you some information here, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, okay.
Sir,
They will not ask you what is the total sum of parameters P1 and P2 for A, which is simple, right? 25. They will never ask you these kind of questions.
yes.
What they will ask you is your understanding and reading of the data. What they might probably ask you is how much is the sum of B greater than sum of A under parameters P1 and P2. So which is 45 and this is 25. By how much percentage is 45 greater than 25? Okay.
Sir, sorry for interruption. There is a
Yeah.
person particularly, he is waiting in,
Oh.
waiting room. Can you please?
Okay. I'll admit him.
Yes.
Hi Navin, welcome to the class. Okay, let's come back to the question which I was explaining. So they might ask you the sum of parameters P1 and P2 under B is how much more than sum of parameters P1 and P2 for A, right? Which is 45. How much percentage 45 is greater than 25? Now this is where you need being smart with the calculation, right? So for logical reasoning and data interpretation, it is important that you are very, very quick with respect to your calculations. When I say calculations, it is not all calculations, like not getting to the decimal of it. It is like approximation. You need to be good at approximation. You should be in a position to compare ratios, or even you have to be in a position to calculate averages or percentages. Okay, so when I say calculation, these are the various things that could be asked to you in the exam. So they can ask you by what percentage is parameter P2 for B greater than parameter P1 for A. Okay, so when they ask you that such a question, parameter P2 for B is 25, parameter P1 for A is 10. So the question is, how much is 25 more than 10? So whenever, just to digress a bit, whenever there is one number being asked as a percentage of the other number, it is always, the thumb rule is the difference between them divided by the number with which you are comparing. 25, how much is 25 more than 10 is nothing but the difference between 25 and 10 by 25. Okay, so this is the calculation which I was talking about. So over a period of time, I will be introducing you to various concepts of speed maths, mental maths, where there will not be too many formulas that are involved, but how do we get to the answer quite quickly? So for one example, if I have to give you, so if I ask you what is 35 plus 25 plus 50 plus 75 plus 15. So if I ask you something like this, you should be in a position to answer it in less than 10 seconds. So traditional way of doing it is you will add 5 plus all the units and then the tens. But what I would want you to think through is slightly different. If you look at 25 and 75, what does 25 plus 75 add up to?
It's
Anybody?
100.
100? Okay. What does 35 and 15 add up to?
Sir, it's 85.
Sorry?
I'm sorry.
35 and 15.
Yes, sir.
50, sir, 50.
50? Okay. Now the only number left is 50. What is 50 plus
50.
50? 100.
100.
So what is 100 plus 100?
100.
200. So that is how you should be able to see the numbers and pair them up, add them, and come to the answer faster than the traditional ways of solving. So మన traditional ways of solving ఎట్లా చేస్తాం మనం 35, 25, 50, 75 and 15. So we start adding 5 plus 5, 5 plus 5, 20, 0, 2, then you plus 2 plus 3, 5, 5 plus 2, 7, 12, 19, 20, right? This is how we generally do. But I will try to explain over a period of time, and I'll also give you some questions on how to group numbers and get to the answer quicker. So it is similar concept man use chesi. If I give you another question, like 31 plus 59 plus 69 plus 41 is equal to how much, right? If you actually see 31 and 69 are complements of 100. 31 plus 69 is 100. 59 plus 41 is also 100. So the summation is nothing but 200. Have you followed me, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
it is for a period of time. I'll give you examples of complements of 100. So in the LRDI, it is not just that DI concepts, LR concepts which I'll be explaining you, but I will also be explaining you on how to use smarter ways to arrive at faster way of the calculation. Somebody can ask me, why is that it is important that we use these kind of smarter ways to calculate faster? Very simple answer to that is time management. In CAT, you do not have adequate amount of time for you to calculate. So you have to be faster when it comes to arriving at an answer. In few instances, you don't even have to calculate the full solution or a comparison. So there could be a situation where you might be asked, there are four, they would be give you a data table and they'll ask you, which of the following ratios is closer to the answer. So they can give you 2/3, 4/5, 6/7, or they can give you 9/11. They can ask you which of these ratios is closer to the answer. So అప్పుడు మనం ఏం చేయాలి, అక్కడ క్వశ్చన్ లో ఉన్న numbers ని యూజ్ చేసి we arrive at an answer, and then we'll also have to calculate this and then see which is the closer answer. Correct? So మనం ఇలాంటివి చేసేటప్పుడు if you are not fast with our calculation, we will take a lot of time to arrive at this. So which of these is closer to, let's say if I tell you 30%, okay, which of them is closer to 30%? Actually 30%, let me say 60%. Can somebody tell me which of the following fractions are close to 60%? So the easiest way to do it is 60/100, which is nothing but 6/10, which is nothing but 3/5, right? 2/3 is 66.66%, whereas 4/5 is 80%. As for the concept which we learned, when I add 2 to the numerator, 2 to the denominator, and when the numerator is less than denominator, the resultant number will always be higher. So definitely when it is not 4/5, it can't be 6/7, correct? And similarly, here you're adding 3 to the numerator, 4 to the denominator, but 9/11 is almost 0.8, which is again 80%. So can't be D. So the answer is A. So these kind of methods, when you understand, you'll be able to apply those techniques and arrive at the answer faster. Did anybody not follow this? Any questions here, guys?
No, sir. No.
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, now let's get to the syllabus. While I might be listing out various type of topics that you would be tested in CAT, in the real cases when we start, I'm not going to scare you by saying that, okay, this is the kind of concept. I don't want to confuse you or scare you with the technicalities involved. I would always want you to focus on the concept and the logic that is involved in different types of topics. Because ultimately, if your basic concept and understanding is clear, you will be able to solve any type of question that comes up in CAT. You don't have to think, okay, whether e question seating arrangement related, let e question grouping related question, let e question Venn diagram సంబంధించిన ఇట్లాంటివి అవసరం లేదు మనకి. మనకి ఎప్పుడైతే కాన్సెప్ట్ అనేది క్లియర్ గా ఉంటుందో, it doesn't matter which topic it is from, your basic approach to the question will completely change when you understand the nuances involved in the puzzle. So in LRDI, you have about 32 questions in CAT. So generally they are across 8 sets, 4 DI and 4 LR. So each set will have 4 questions. So that makes it 32. But interestingly, what has happened is, as I said, in CAT, they will never ask you a question directly on a topic saying that represent this in a Venn diagram, or they'll give you simple Venn diagram like this, and they'll ask you questions on that. This will never happen in CAT. They will always test you on your conceptual understanding of various subject elements involved. These days, there is also, so when I say 4 DI and 4 LR, it doesn't necessarily mean you will get 4 data interpretation related sets and 4 logical reasoning in related sets. It's more mixed up these days. So there can be data interpretation based logical reason questions or logical reasoning based data interpretation questions. So it could be any way. It doesn't actually matter whether it is LR or DI, as I said, because if you understand the question, you'll be able to solve any kind of question that is given to you. But yes, just to help you understand what all things would probably you be tested on or questioned on. If I look at data interpretation, you will generally have something called data tables. So data table is nothing but they will give you, let's say in a class, there are 5 students, A, B, C, D, E, and they have, let's say they'll give you something like this, and they have attempted exams like maths, English, science, let's say social, and they'll give you some marks for all of these students. And they can ask you any question related to these students. They can say, how many marks did A score in maths more than B scored in science, for example. So they can ask you how much A scored more than B, A scored in maths more than B scored in science. So anything related to these kind of questions can be called as data tables. Then you have something called data caselets. Data caselets ante em ledu, meeku data table form lo ivvakunda meeku paragraph form lo istaru. They'll give you information in English in paragraph. So when you actually read it, you can actually represent it in the form of a table, and then try to answer the questions using the table. That is nothing but data caselets. And then there could be a combination of tables plus caselets. సో ఇది ఎట్లా ఉంటుందంటే మనకి టేబుల్ ఇస్తారు, and there will be some missing information. They will not give you all the cells, so there will be some missing cells here, and then related there will be some English language or paragraph which is given. By interpreting this paragraph, you will be able to fill up the missing cells, and then you will try to solve using this table. That is called tables plus caselets. ఇంక ఈ కాకుండా you will also have different types of charts. So there could be different types of charts, like a line chart, a bar chart, pie chart, and or you can have multiple graphs, combination of graphs and matter. So recently 2019 lo they introduced a new kind of chart called spider chart. It is also called a radar chart or something like that. So we will go through each of these charts. How is the data represented across these charts? How do you read the data? How do you answer the questions? So mano course next class in start ayaka, each and every concept we will take in one class, and we'll try to understand what does these charts indicate, and how are these charts different from each other, and what are the different ways you can read the charts. Any questions still here?
No, sir.
Okay. So this is the part about DA. if you are clear about these concepts, mostly ఇప్పటివరకు CAT questions లో majority of the times they would ask you about these kind of questions only in data interpretation, like the tables, caselets, the combination of table and caselets and charts. Now coming to logical reasoning. In logical reasoning, there would be various kind of questions which you could be asked. So generally you can relate them to puzzles. You would have solved a lot of puzzles when you were a kid, or even for your job interviews you would have definitely come across some puzzle solving and all. So they are nothing but your logical reasoning. ఇలా స్పెసిఫిక్ గా ఎటువంటి కాన్సెప్ట్స్ వాళ్ళు టెస్ట్ చేస్తారు అంటే, ఫస్ట్ అండ్ ఫార్మోస్ట్ ఇస్ సీటింగ్ అరేంజ్మెంట్. సో సీటింగ్ అరేంజ్మెంట్ లో there could be two types of seating arrangement. One is linear and the other is circular. So linear seating arrangement, and they could say that okay, there are 6 friends A, B, C, D, E, F. They are all placed on a bench. Now you don't know who is placed where, so you know that they are placed like this, and they can say A is wearing a red shirt, B is wearing a black pant. So ilanti manaku various attributes avi ichi they will give you some more puzzles or some more hints anamata. A hints basis meeda you will have to determine the seating arrangement, how are they placed. Once you are able to determine that, you will be able to answer the questions. So that is nothing but linear arrangement. ఇప్పుడు ఇదే అరేంజ్మెంట్ ని సర్క్యులర్ ఫామ్ లో ఇచ్చారు అనుకోండి, that is called circular arrangement. Can somebody tell me what is the difference between linear arrangement and circular arrangement? Complication ఏం వస్తుంది సర్క్యులర్ లో? Just think through. Any thoughts? Circular arrangement ki linear arrangement ki main difference ఏం ఉండొచ్చు?
In linear,
Yeah, sorry Monica, you are saying something, I can't hear you. Monica? Okay, in linear arrangement you would see that you can always determine who is starting or who is sitting in the first position or who is sitting in the last position. But in circular arrangement there is no first or last position. It's circular, right? You cannot say which is starting position, which is ending position. So on that concept you can be given some sort of hints to trick you. అక్కడ మనకి కావాల్సింది ఏంటంటే అప్పుడు క్లాక్ వైజ్ కూర్చున్నారా, కౌంటర్ క్లాక్ వైజ్ కూర్చున్నారా అన్నదే we need to determine. So we'll go through more of those concepts when we get to the seating arrangement. The next set of questions that you could be tested on is data arrangement. So in data arrangement there could be like matching puzzles, or you could be asked about grouping, team formation. Grouping the team formation kuda antaru. Or you could be asked about ordering or ranking. Or arrangement and selection. సో ఈ డేటా అరేంజ్మెంట్ దాంట్లో మీకు జనరల్ ఎలాంటి క్వశ్చన్స్ రావచ్చు అంటే, you would be given lot of information and you are supposed to arrange the data that is given into various groups anamata. So they can tell you that in a group of 15 people, 3 people like to play guitar, 10 people like to play tabla, and 2 people like to play violin. And they will give you more combinations of guitar, tabla and violin, based on which you can group them. How many people like to play guitar only, how many people like to play tabla only, and how many people like to play violin. So something like that these kind of questions which are asked fall under the data arrangement part. Then you can also have Venn diagram based questions. So Venn diagram concept తెలిసి ఉంటుంది కదా. Can somebody tell me what is a Venn diagram? Anybody?
Two circles అలా ఉంటాయి అవేనా సార్?
Yeah. So they will give you some data set saying that there is a group of people out of which they can say there are two groups A and B. Out of A, there are 50 people who like to play caroms, and B, which represents the number of people who like to play cricket. And they can also say there are 20 people who like to play both, and they can say 10 play none of them, right? Itland information instead of, let's say B, they say about 60. So we know when 20 can play both, this means, and 10 can play nothing, A is total 50 and B is total 60, and this is 40. So they can ask you what are the total number of the groups, what is the total number of people in the group itself. So which is nothing but 20 plus 30 plus 40 plus 10, which is 100. And it's a straight question, but this is what a Venn diagram is. The Venn diagram basis made there will be some questions. So 2020 lo, actually they asked a very nice question about Venn diagram, which included 4 sets. దాని రికార్డింగ్ కూడా LTX ప్రిపేర్ చేసాం. We will share the link. You can just go over that particular question and see how it was solved and how this concept of Venn diagram was used in framing that question. So direct గా మీకు ఎవరు చెప్పరు this is a Venn diagram question అనేసి. You need to read through and understand okay, there is a concept of Venn diagram that is involved in it, and let us represent it accordingly. And how do you get to know which kind of the topic is being tested? It only comes with practice. The more and more questions you solve, the more and more you try to practice, you will be able to automatically map in your mind which particular question is testing you on which concept. ఇంక ఇది కాకుండా ఇంకా లాజికల్ రీజనింగ్ లో బేసికల్లీ మనకి గేమ్స్ అండ్ టోర్నమెంట్స్ ఇస్ one more area where you could be tested. So primarily these are the things that will be tested on logical reasoning: seating arrangement, data arrangement, Venn diagram, games and tournaments. But yes, CAT is always packed with surprises. We cannot say with certainty that yes, వీటిలో నుంచే వస్తాయి అని. But given the fact that when we look at the past questions, we can fairly be sure that these are the topics which are generally tested. So at least out of 8 sets, 5 out of 8 sets will be tested on these kind of concepts. And if you are very clear on the concepts of these 5, you can, and you get 5 into 4, almost you're getting 20 questions right. If you get 20 right, you can be sure of getting 95+ percentile. Okay, so this is very, very important. And but yes, when we practice more and more, you will be able to gain that confidence that you will be able to answer these questions. In addition to this, there are various other topics also which they could be testing you on, but in the previous years of CAT papers, these have not come actually. So but having said that, it is always better we prepare ourselves for any eventuality. So questions like blood relationships, they can ask you, A is the father of B's mother's sister, how are A and B related? Something like that. So ala adagachu. Or they can ask you something about directions, or they can ask you about binary logic, or even they can ask you about input output kind of questions. So input output kind of questions, and they will tell you that okay, there is a machine, when you input a number here, it performs a specific operation which could be doubling that and adding 5 and dividing the number by 3, and you get an output Y. So then they might ask you a question about, if I input specific number, what is the output? So those are input output based questions. Then you can be asked about cubes or dices, or clocks and calendars, and even coding, decoding. Coding, decoding until they can tell you something like, there is a number ABC, which represents 3 different digits. And they'll give you some operations, when you multiply A into B, you get this number. When you multiply B into C, you get some other number. When you multiply A into C, you get some other number. They'll give you different clues, and they'll try to ask you to give you the digits ABC. So that's coding or decoding, or it can also be called as crypto arithmetic, because they're using alphabets to represent numbers and asking you to determine. So it can be called coding, decoding, or crypto arithmetic. Other than that, they can also ask you questions about data sufficiency. మీకు కొంచెం ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఇచ్చి, they might ask you that, is this data sufficient to calculate the answer? So depending on the information that's provided, you determine whether or not it is needed. But generally speaking, out of experience, all these kind of concepts which are there, they are tested for other MBA exams like NMAT, GMAT, IIFT, and other MBA exams. There are about 10 to 12 other than CAT. So we'll try to cover as many concepts as possible during our course structure, so that you are well prepared for any kind of questions that might come up in CAT. So in summary, this is the syllabus that we will be covering as part of this course on the data interpretation and logical reasoning. And we will also give you enough time in between to go over these concepts. And as I told you, the key to success lies in how many hours you spend to practice each of these concepts, get acquainted with these concepts, and understand them thoroughly, and apply the concepts to the right questions. If you're clear on this, you can be short of getting the target percentile that you're having in your mind. I would personally recommend that you spend about 6 to 8 hours per week to go over these concepts. Whereas when we have a class, spend 6 to 8 hours during the week to practice as many questions as possible. And by doing so, you would be in a position to gain good grip on all of these concepts. So we will be spending time between February till probably around May, I would say, May or June, on building the concepts. So we'll be introducing you to all these concepts over this period. And we will also be giving you enough material to practice yourself across all these concepts, and develop that knowledge and understanding of the concept. And once you are there, the more you practice, the better. We'll start preparing you for the previous CAT questions. We can solve one after the other and see how this particular concept was tested in these questions. So that's in summary how we're going to go over the course structure. Please do let me know if you have any questions. Anybody, any questions? If you do not have any questions, I have a question. I'll give you a small puzzle. Let us approach it with a plain mind and see how we are going to solve it. So మీలో అందరికీ కామన్ బ్యాలెన్స్ ఐడియా ఉంది కదా? Does everybody know what is a common balance?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you have 2 pans and you put stuff in both the pans. Whichever is lighter will go up, whichever is heavier will go down. Simple concept, right?
Yes, sir.
So we have 9 balls which are identical. Identical ante enti చూడడానికి అని సేమ్ గానే ఉన్నాయి 9 balls. But one ball is lighter. Okay. In 9 balls lo one ball is lighter. How many times will you use this common balance to determine the lighter ball? So the number of times you use has to be least. How many minimum times you will have to use the common balance to determine the lighter ball? Please feel free. There is absolutely no problem in getting it wrong. What is important is we tried. Trying is, making an attempt is more important than getting it right to me. So think and tell me what is the best way you'll approach this. Anybody wants to attempt? Monica, Naveen, Padmarao, Dinesh?
Sir, all 9 balls are together, sir.
Yeah, so 9 balls are separate. They're not, I mean, together as in they're 9 different balls. You can use it in any combination that you want. You can take 2 balls, you can take 1 ball, you can take 3 balls, 4 balls, 5 balls, any combination of 9 balls. Okay, first of all, did you understand the question, all of you?
No, sir. Sir, అంటే 2 sets కూడా ఉన్నాయి సార్ 9 balls separate చేసి.
లేదు, there are only 9 balls. Okay, there are only 9 balls. You have a common balance which 2 empty pans. Okay, now you can put these balls into these pans, any combination. Ikkada 2 balls pettandi, ikkada 2 balls pettandi, like ikkada 3 pettandi, ikkada 3 pettandi. When you weigh it, the common balance will tell you which is lighter or heavier kada. Indulo 1 ball is lighter. Now we have to determine which is the lighter ball by using this common balance and using it the minimum number of times. So any minimum times common balance use chesi, you will determine that odd ball, that lighter ball is the question. See, if you ask me, simple ga cheppalante nenu oka ball ni ikkada petti, I can keep changing the second ball here. Correct?
Yes,
If
sir.
I put 1 ball here and I keep testing each ball one after the other, I will determine whichever is lighter. If two equal balls anukondi, the pan will be common kada, the pan won't move. If these balls, since all of them are equal, all of the balls are equal except for 1 ball. Okay, if two equal balls ni, equal weights on the balls ni 2 pans lo pedithe em avutadi, both of them are equal, the pans won't move, right?
Yes, sir.
If I put a lighter ball in the right pan and I put the other ball, one of these balls in the left pan, what will happen? The left pan will go down and the right pan will go up. Suppose ikkada manaku oka pan unda, ikkada oka pan undi, right? And I have 9 balls. One of them is lighter. We don't know which one is lighter. Suppose any ippudu 8 balls same weight.
Yes, sir.
If I put 1 ball into this pan and I put the second ball into this pan, what will happen? Which will the pans, one of the left pan or right pan will go up or down?
No, sir.
They'll be same kada.
Yes, sir.
If I put a lighter ball into this pan and a normal ball into this pan, what will happen?
It will go down, sir, like right one.
Right one will go up. Endukante lighter kada. Lighter ante
Yes,
weight
sir.
takkuva ani. Correct? So lighter pan will go up, heavier pan will go down. So naturally, apri balance the balance will be like this, right? With this pen. This is the lighter ball and this is the normal ball, correct? Now, the question is, what is the minimum number of times you will use this balance to determine the lighter ball? That is the question. If I don't say minimum, you can use any number of times to determine the lighter ball. You'll keep putting one ball here and you'll keep replacing the second ball here to determine whenever is lighter, correct? అలా కాకుండా మనం కొంచెం ఆప్టిమైజ్ చేసి మినిమం నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ టైమ్స్ దీన్ని యూజ్ చేయాలంటే ఎట్లా చేస్తాం? See, the answer is very simple. I have 9 balls kada. Let us say this is the lighter ball. So నేనేం చేస్తానంటే I'll divide them into groups of 3. This is one group, this is the second group, and this is the third group. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
So నేను ఫస్ట్ ఏం చేస్తానంటే కామన్ బ్యాలెన్స్ లో I'll put these 3 balls into left pan, I'll put these 3 balls into right pan. ఏమవుతుంది? They are the same.
Yes, sir.
So the pan won't move, right? The pan will be same. So I definitely know that these 6 balls are normal balls. None of them is lighter. ఇప్పుడు ఇందులో ఒకటి లైటర్ అయినా the pan would have moved కదా.
Yes, sir.
So I straight away know one time నేను యూస్ చేసిన వెంటనే I can eliminate 6 balls. So lighter ball is not in any of these 6. Correct?
Yes.
Then I'm left with only 3 balls. So నేను సెకండ్ ఐటరేషన్ ఏం చేస్తా? ఈ 3 balls ని డివైడ్ చేస్తా సింగిల్ బాల్స్ కింద. So I will again put out of these 3 balls, 1 ball into this and second ball into this. So what will happen? If one of them is lighter, that pan will go up and the other pan will go down. Then I can determine which is the lighter ball. If let's say I take both the balls as normal balls, these pans won't change, then definitely the third ball is the lighter ball.
Yes, sir.
So in 2 iterations, I can determine which is the lighter ball. సో మీకు డౌట్ రావచ్చు, సార్ మీరు థర్డ్ దాంట్లో మీరు తీసుకున్నారు లైటర్ బాల్, అదే ఫస్ట్ దాంట్లో లైటర్ వస్తే ఏంటి అని. ఫస్ట్ దాంట్లో లైటర్ వచ్చిన లెట్స్ సే ఇన్ ద సెకండ్ సినారియో దిస్ బాల్ ఈస్ లైటర్, ఓకే, రెస్ట్ ఆల్ బాల్స్ ఆర్ నార్మల్. This is the first set, second set and third set. So I'm taking first set and second set. So what will happen? Can somebody explain me this? What will happen in this scenario? I put this set here, I put this set here. What will happen? ఇది లెఫ్ట్ ప్యాన్ అనుకుందాం, ఇది రైట్ ప్యాన్ అనుకుందాం. Anybody? If I put the 3 balls into this, the first set 3 balls into this pan and the second set 3 balls into this pan, what will happen?
Left panel goes down, sir, because one of the ball is less weight, lightweight balls.
Yeah, left pan will actually go up, right? Because it's lighter.
Yes.
Lighter ball unte పైకి వెళ్తది కదా, heavier అయితే కిందకి వస్తది, correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the left pan will go up, the right pan will go down. So which one is the defective one? You know that this pan is the defective one, correct? Or the balls in this pan is defective, one of them. Correct? Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
after first iteration, I know I've already determined out of these 3 sets, which one is the defective set. This one is the defective set. Next, Mali, same concept. The 3 balls, I'll divide them into one ball each. And I'll weigh them into this and this pan. I'll determine which is the defective one in the second iteration. So a combination of chooskunna, if I group them into 3 balls each, I would need only 2 times to determine lighter ball. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. If I say one of the ball is heavier, then what do you do? Then how many times would you need? Slightly different question. If one of them is heavier instead of lighter, okay, how many iterations would you need?
Sir, same time, sir. Actually, 2 times again.
Exactly.
The case is same, sir.
Case is same. Just that the pan is going up, it will go down. Nothing changes. You'll still determine the light heavier ball, and you still need only 2 times. Correct. Right? Now, when you're able to answer me the second question, what you applied is your conceptual understanding or the logic behind it. You applied the logic on why it is the same. Because the simple logic is whether it is lighter or heavier, it is just the direction of the pan in which it goes. If it is lighter, it goes up. If it is heavier, it goes down. Correct? So before we conclude the class, I would want to give you a simple question, same logic. I'm not going to tell you whether the ball is lighter or heavier. Okay. What I'm going to tell you is one of the ball is definitely defective. So when I say defective, it could be lighter or heavier. I'm not telling you whether it is lighter or heavier. In such a scenario, how many times would you use the common balance to determine the defective ball? That is the question. Is the question clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. There are 9 identical balls. One of them is defective. But I'm not going to tell you whether the defect is in the form of it being lighter or heavier. You need to tell me how many times you would use the common balance to determine the defective ball, and also you have to tell me whether the defective ball is lighter or heavier.
I think it is also for 2 times, sir. Even 2 times when I find out heavier.
Okay, can you walk me through the steps? Sorry, who is that speaking?
Padmara.
Okay, Padmara. Naku okasari steps cheptara?
Sure,
So
sir.
should we group them into 3 balls?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. First iteration lo manu ee group ni test chesam anukundam. Okay,
Yes, sir.
both of them are equal. Now you came to the third. ఇక్కడ నుంచి నాకు చెప్పండి ఏమైందో. సెకండ్ సెట్ లో ఏం చేస్తాం? In the pan,
yes, sir.
you'll put one ball here, right?
Yes, sir.
Suppose ఈ రెండు సేమ్ బాల్స్ తీసుకున్నారు అనుకుందాం, right?
The remaining is defective.
Yes. So is it lighter or heavier? How will you tell me? You can't say, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Build on the logic. So what will happen next? Second iteration you figured out the defective ball. So what will happen next? How do you determine the defect? You will just do a third iteration. You know that these 2 balls are same, which means it's a normal ball. So you'll keep one of the ball in one of the pan, and you'll take the third ball, right?
Yes.
This ball. And if it goes down, it means the defective ball is heavier. If it goes up, you will determine the defective ball is lighter.
Yes.
Ante. So you would need 3 iterations. So somebody can ask me, sir, మన first iteration లోనే ఈ రెండు ఈక్వల్ ఎందుకు అనుకోవాలి? Let us say the defective ball is in the first iteration itself. Okay, let us run that scenario also, because we need to be sure kada the 3 is the right answer for any scenario. So what happens in the first iteration? You verify these 2. Okay, definitely one pan would be going down and one pan would be going up, so we don't know which pan is the bad one. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So for time being, I'll say 1, 2, 3. I've taken 1 here and I've taken 2 here. Now I don't know which one is the defective ball, because let's say this is going down and this is going up. Now what I'll do, I'll replace 2 with 3. Okay, ఏమవుతుంది? రెండు సేమ్ వెయిట్ కాబట్టి దిస్ విల్ అగైన్ గో ఇన్ ద సేమ్ డైరెక్షన్. ముందు ఇటరేషన్ లో పైకి వెళ్తే ఇప్పుడు కూడా పైకి వెళ్ళాలి కదా, ఈ రెండు సేమ్ అయితే. కరెక్ట్?
Yes, sir.
So then I know this is a defective set after 2 iterations. First iteration it went up. Second iteration when I replaced 2 with 3 it went up. So after 2 iterations I know this is the defective set. And once I know which is the defective set, I'll use this combination, this third combination, to determine the defective one. But here the simple, again, the logic is when in the third set, when you're doing the third set, if this is gone up in the first iteration, second iteration, which means the defective ball is heavier color.
Heavier, yes.
You already determined the defect after first 2 iterations. So when I use the third ball and the pan, if by default I've taken the defective ball here and I've taken the normal ball here, this would have gone down, which means this is the defective ball.
Mm.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Am I too fast or did you follow me?
No, sir, we are following you.
Okay, great. So this is a simple variation of a common balance question, which could be, I'm not saying it could be asked in CAT, but there your concept, your understanding would be tested. So these are the kind of things I would be making you practice outside the normal syllabus also to keep developing your lateral thinking. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the class. In case you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Yeah, so I am aware of the paucity of time. It's already 7 o'clock for you. If you do not have any further questions, we can conclude the session now. And I look forward to meeting you all again in the next class. Are we good?
Yes, sir. No doubt.
Okay, great. Have a good day, everybody. See you soon again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.